and Will Mayer, that is a bench.
Yeah.
That is a bench that's had to start. And, even looking further down the pack, they are all interchange forwards, realistically, and you're having to start them all together. It's not like you're starting one or two of them, you're starting all of them. And that's just not. It's not going to win you matches. It's not going to keep you in Super League.
What about Cass? Was there any players you think were particularly standout performers for Cass? And before you get to say them, I'm just going to say one that I thought was brilliant. I thought Grant Millington had his best game of the season so far and was exceptional. But what about yourself? What did you think?
No, I think Grant Millington did well. I think George Griffin put himself in the right places as well. I think he did well for what I saw of him. But I think Danny Richardson took advantage of the gifts he was given. I think he played well, but he made the best out of what was put in front of him, and he just exploited it, which is what we know he can do and where we've seen him have his best games. So it wasn't a surprise. You give him that sort of space, and there's no surprise he's going to exploit it. That's what he does.
Yeah, and he showed some control, didn't he? Truman had flashes of brilliance, but Richardson showed a controlled composure throughout the game, which is what gave him the edge when people started making votes and stuff, even though Grant Millington should have been man of the match, by the way. What about highlight moments?
Final whistle was quite a good one. Half time. Oh, it's like, the Danny Richardson try was nice, wasn't it? Yeah, that worked move and that they came off. But
which was the try where Truman threw the pass? That must have been the James Clare try, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
That was a wonderful pass.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, it was where he sort of just scooped it a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good, but it's hard to get past the despair.
Okay, then we'll move on to a team that maybe a fan base that's maybe feeling even more despair from where they were 3 weeks ago, and they can't keep chiming on about that because where they are now is not a good place, and that is the Warrington Wolves. As we move on to Friday night, where it was Leeds 36, Warrington 0 in front of 12,134. Robert Hicks was the referee. It was 14-0 to Leeds at half-time, and they just hammered home that advantage in the first 20 minutes of the second half to see off the Wolves. In terms of the stats, Wire made 888 metres and had an 88% team tackle success rate. Numbers that spell losses. Leeds made nearly 500 more metres at 1.4 metres per carry better average gain. They made 7 more breaks and 5 fewer handling errors, as well as a 5.2% better team tackle success rate. Basically, stats that back up a scoreline here of a 30-plus points win. Leeds were well on top. In terms of individually, Conrad Hurrell was awarded a try. He had 9 tackle busts, 194 metres and 2 clean breaks. Harry Newman continues to impress, 7 tackle busts, 146 metres and 2 clean breaks. Adam Cuthbertson's making an impact off the bench again, 154 metres and 4 successful offloads.
Most of those in one break.
Yeah, and Richie Myler, talk about making an influence off the bench. 1 try and 3 try assists. For the Warrington Wolves, no one to talk of. Let's get on to the fan views. Someone beat Carsten.
Whoa! Tom Lowry, West Cumbria, so welcome Tom, said, great action. Warrington can't play much worse and will definitely get back into it in the second half. Please, Sky presenters, why the obsession with action replays, in particular during live play? It's so frustrating. All the live play is so important, including every play of the ball. Please, can we hear more through the refs mic, cut down the constant chat by the commentators?
Well, we know that one of the Sky commentators listens to this show, so I don't know if he'll take forward some of that feedback.
I think a lot of that comes from the direction rather than the actual commentators themselves, to be fair. Yeah,
but it is frustrating when you sort of miss parts of live play because of replays, because to me, oftentimes the replays are of things that they want to decide if a referee should or shouldn't have given a penalty, or not. So that when that happens, I agree it can be frustrating. I must say, most of the time we get people saying there's too much refs, Mike. but great to get a different view on that from Tom. So thanks for getting in touch, Tom, and make sure you get your fan views in each and every week from now on. Karsten, someone who does do that, said Warrington switching off in February is new, but they were pretty shit. Richie Myler as man of the match must hurt some Leeds fans. So Kev learned to coach. As we all know, Agar is just a puppet for him. I don't know. I think Agar's putting his stamp on things here, and so Kev's getting more and more distant from the actual match day setup.
EFC78JU says embarrassing, no other word.
Nice and succinct. Neil McEwen said, why a nilled? Ha 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 ha. But on a serious note, when is the final piece of the puzzle Widdop arriving from St George? But yeah, obviously, clear seriousness to that note, Neil. Fantastic. Witness fans enjoying that one, I think.
Tom Eckley says, well, that was pathetic. Not team price out quite yet, but the man's going to have to pull something out of the hat if he's going to survive. So much talent being wasted, only turning up to play Saints. Whilst 19-0 is very fun, it's not a sustainable plan. Time to bring on the Blythe and save the season, cement his GOAT status. Matty's too busy with his business empire nowadays.
He was back in Rugby League, though, recently. He did a presentation for, I think, with...
it's with Rugby League Cares, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Rugby League Cares. So there you go, yeah.
He's the nicest player I've ever worked with. I will say that and say that again. But he was such a nice guy.
Dr. Bob Phillips said, the loss of Wolfie and the sheer power of Coach Agar, what the actual fuck, were the downfall of the meagre wire team. Maya is having a resurgence, clearly better in the squealy north than the sun-kissed south.
Who knows? Cav says, I was worried about this one. Widdop Austin is a terrifying prospect at halfback, and I'd heard that this was Wire's year. I needn't have worried, though. Leeds looked incredible against a Wire side who looked a shadow of the team that beat Saints. Phenomenal performances across the park from Leeds, and a special mention for Myler is deserved. He could have taken his bat home, but he's playing really well, even today at fullback.
Joshua said, not the greatest game. Whilst it's always fun seeing Warrington get nailed, it's not so much fun to see Leeds doing the stuffing.
Joshua's granddad
That's
says,
someone who needs to get him more reviews, that Joshua. He sounds like a fun kid.
He does. Whatever age he is, yeah. Joshua's granddad says, Wire would improve with their marquee players playing, but even they can't turn it on behind a beaten pack. Chris Hill, what a difference you make. The second half became a question of when, not if, Leeds would score again. Hurrah, absolutely rampant. # lucky to score nothing.
Lee Whitnell said, the knives are out for Steve Price after that performance, which looked like nothing more than an opposed training run for Leeds. There's a whiff of lost dressing room about it, reminiscent of 2017, and the fans are starting to grow impatient about his game planning. It will be interesting to see how he handles this. If he wants an NRL gig when he goes home, he'll need to turn this situation around quickly.
Yeah, John Hamilton says, to be fair to Warrington, it should only have been 32-0.
I mean,
Myler was very good.
Fair there, John. Fantastic.
Myler was very good, effectively playing as a third half, and Warrington couldn't come up with anything really to test him in defence. His drop looked like he was trying to get his foot in goal. It's easy to get carried away, but based on this season's results so far, I think we can all agree Leeds would beat the Roosters by about 45. If you'd said Rovers, I would have agreed.
Yeah, that Myler drop, which was his first real involvement in the game, I think there was a little bit of him trying to get in goal or not knowing exactly where he was in relation to the in goal, and he was probably overthinking it, but he made a mistake, and I actually think, and I've written this down in my notes on this game actually, as probably the biggest highlight, rather than an individual moment, but for Myler to come into the side, come back from dropping the first kick to him, and to have such an instrumental part in some good tries that Leeds scored. I think that's a highlight takeaway for me in its very own right. So yeah, so I sort of get what John's saying about that error, but if anything, it just emphasised the the spirit and attitude in Richie Myler, and I've never thought of him as a spirit and attitude kind of guy. But boy,
hang on a second, we've got to pause for a tea delivery.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Wow, and there's a Malteser as well.
Oh wow, well there you go. Yeah, but Richie Myler, who he had a special delivery of his own to deal with when he got home, according to his wife's tweet on the weekend, which was absolutely fantastic stuff. But yeah, just so much credit to him for the way he's approached this season. We talked about it last week after his kind of game-turning role off the bench against Salford when he came on to play at dummy half. But yeah, he was fantastic and good for everyone to mention it. Do you think
he's happier because there's less pressure when you come on? Do you think he the same way that he's always reacted better as a second half to behind someone who's more dominant?
I mean, he was sort of better next to Braze than he was.
Yeah.
Next to lead say like Patton or someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's a psychology point in there that he's more comfortable when he's not the
Louis
star
or someone else? But yeah. Maybe. There's certainly a pressure off him and also a point to prove. So, I think the opinion of him within the Leeds fan base and within some of the former Leeds players and stuff was so low that he only had one way to go with them if he did stay there. And I think, yeah, the pressure was off in that regard. But it's still, it's still a shithole to be in where the club don't really want you. They've clearly identified your position as the problematic position that they need to address, and yet through circumstance and reason you're having to play important roles off the bench in this side, and he's doing it, he's delivering. So I think every credit to him. Where are we up to on the reviews?
Have we had? No, we haven't. St. David.
He said,
yeah.
How on earth did Saints lose to those bums? On paper, Wire are a really good team. On the pitch, they aren't. Wire fans ought to be worried about the coaching, I reckon.
Yeah, there's a lot of people calling this out about that they think it's a coaching thing. Oh, do you think there's much in that? Do you think they will make a change?
I don't quite get the sense of a lost dressing room yet. Although I'm not as close to it as some of the Wire fans who've made those comments. I just think everyone wants to turn on someone at this point in time where you're starting to lose games and lose a game very, very heavily after losing a game very disappointingly and then only just winning a game that everyone expected you to romp. There's some issues and concerns there. I think it's maybe more of an issue of on-field leadership. I think they're missing the influence of someone like a Jack Hughes, someone who's actually won some stuff and the people that should be providing that, like Chris Hill, don't. Yeah, because so people you'd expect to step up. Because Chris Hill's on the decline, and he can't. I don't think he can cope with that, and I'm not sure Wire have learned how to address that. What's happened to that forward they brought in? The massive guy that they brought in right at the start. Of the season. Yeah. Funny name, yeah. Yeah, but where's he? Why is he not getting a go at, He was playing for the reserve, so I don't know if he's just taken longer to acclimatise or what's happened to him, or if he's picked up an injury. Well, he wasn't in the 21 this week, so yeah, I think they need to think about some of those things with this squad. As much as I would want Luther Burrell to work out, I'm not sure if having him and Matt Davis on the bench is the right way to go, because that's two kind of mix it up kind of forwards who are playing a bit in the back row and a bit around the place, but not really. I think they both offer a similar amount. Whereas if they had an actual big forward, Sitaleki Akwala could have been the guy coming off the bench and giving extra impetus maybe for some small spells. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if they've got too many important players. Ratchford, Austin, Widdop, and Clark all will want to have an element of control. So have they worked out how those guys want to balance off each other yet? I'm not sure. I'm not sure Widdop being injured to start the season has helped with that situation, because you would want him to stand up and say, I'm the senior player here, I'll take control. Will you come with me? But because he was injured to start the year, and they had that great win against St.